My most controversial gaming opinions, and some of these things you might actually agree with, in which case you think, wait a minute, these things aren't controversial at all, this guy's being misleading, which, I don't know, kinda sounds like controversy to me. That said, the things I'll be saying in this video will have some of you thinking, yep, he's gone too far, and I disagree with you big time. Starting with this little doozy. PlayStation and Xbox as brands are not exciting. For a lot of people, when they think of something like the PlayStation, right away they think of great games like Crash Bandicoot or Final Fantasy VII, the Resident Evil games, Metal Gear Solid, all fantastic games, but none of which were actually made by Sony themselves. And when it comes to the PlayStation, I'm not even saying I wish it didn't exist. I'm glad it exists, and it deserves a ton of credit for creating a platform where a lot of amazing gaming experiences can happen, but making good business decisions and stuff like that, that doesn't get me excited. I mean, take Sega for example, which you're thinking, whoa, thought we were talking about Sony. Well, I like to talk about Sega. Sega is kind of like the opposite of Sony, where they made a lot of really bad business decisions, but they had so much passion going into the games they were working on, so many talented, creative people working on games for Sega. That's why Sega fans are so bitter, because they feel like there was so much lost potential there. So many great games and ideas. A lot of series that only ever really got like one game in the series and that was it. But yeah, Sega made a lot of really bad business decisions, and so they're not around, whereas Sony has made, for the most part, lots of good business decisions, and so they are still around. But when you start looking at the list of games actually made by Sony themselves, the list of games is just not nearly as impressive as when you look at a lot of those games that people associate with the PlayStation anyways. And I will gladly say that I am majorly biased towards Nintendo and Sega, both of them. I really like both of them compared to PlayStation and Xbox, because to me, they are true video game companies. At the time that they got into the market, video games was basically all they were doing. That was their focus. Whereas Sony and Microsoft were like, ooh, look at this, we could make money off of this. And it just becomes like a sector of everything else they're doing. And what's really ironic about all of it is that the PlayStation 1 is actually one of my absolute favorite consoles, but it's not because I have passion and love for the business decisions that Sony made. It's because I have passion and love for all the different developers that put all these different amazing games on that system. And like I said before, a lot of these developers are developers who were working for different third-party companies. Next controversial opinion, Mortal Kombat sucks. Now, that's gotta be controversial, right? I mean, come on. People loved Mortal Kombat. People still do love Mortal Kombat. I just saw they're rebooting the first game again, which I'm pretty sure this is like the third time they've done that. But in any case, Mortal Kombat was all the rage back in the 90s. I just always thought the whole blood and guts and violence, maybe I'm just not that kind of person, but I saw zero appeal of it. I didn't get it, and it just seemed like kind of a gimmicky, stupid thing to me. Now, when it comes to the announcer in the game and some of the silly stuff that they put in the game, that's where you start to get me a little bit more on board. And don't get me wrong, when somebody else says they're really excited about Mortal Kombat, or they have a lot of passion for the Mortal Kombat franchise, I actually do find myself getting excited hearing about that, because I just love it when people love video games. But for me personally, I just do not find myself having any interest in seeking out playing the game. Although, if somebody, say a friend, was like, yeah, let's play some Mortal Kombat together, Yeah, fighting games, it's pretty hard to not have fun when you're playing with a buddy, so... Wait, actually, do I hate it? Next opinion of mine, linear games are better than more open-ended games. And to illustrate my point, I'm going to start off with sort of an unfair comparison, but I think it'll help you get to understand where I'm coming from. Okay, so books. Everybody knows what books are, right? You read them, that whole deal. Well, have you ever read one of those choose your own adventure books? Looking back, sure, maybe they were kind of fun, but I don't think anybody would say, yeah, those choose your own adventure books, they are a lot better than regular books. Well, that's sort of how I look at linear video games, like a read it from page 1 to however long the book is book, because the author has full control of the experience that the reader is going to have. Just like how in a linear game, the game developers have full control to craft the experience that you are going to have. When I play an open world game, a lot of the appeal is, oh, well, you can kind of create your own adventure, right? You're in control. Well, I don't know as much as game developers. I trust them more than I trust myself to craft a well-designed experience. And also, when you do an open world, there's just more ground to cover, because what if I go this way? What if I go that way? What if I do this? What if I do that? Whereas with a linear game, you more or less know the different possible things that could happen. So the developer, I'm assuming, very talented game developer, has all this control over what the experience is going to be, and I put my trust in that game developer. And don't get me wrong, this doesn't mean that I hate open world games. There's plenty of open world games that I've enjoyed. I just think that it's a trickier thing to get right, because there's so many different variables that can go wrong, that can end up feeling like the game is wasting my time or not interesting. Quick little story for you. So, one Saturday afternoon, I'm playing Red Dead Redemption 2, and I'm riding my horse. Something you tend to do in that game, as anybody who's ever played the game will know. So, I'm riding my horse out in the wilderness, and I'm just taking in all the scenery, and I'm thinking, my gosh, look at these trees, look at this water, look at this horse. And then I think, wait a second, what the heck am I doing? I was gonna go out for a hike this afternoon. So I put down the controller and I went on that hike, and believe it or not, I saw water, I saw trees, and I even saw some horses. Point of that story is, in linear games, it feels like every single thing you do is really important, where in open world games, it can kind of feel like you're just sort of meandering around, and what you're doing a lot of the times doesn't really matter as much. My last controversial opinion, and if you've been watching my channel, a lot of you will already know this, is that for anything video game related, anything at all related to video games, I like to always look at things from both sides. And you might be thinking, wait a second, how is that controversial? Well, you'd be surprised. The most common criticism that I get on my channel is that by trying to look at things from various different sides instead of just one, it means I don't have an opinion, when my opinion is that all these different sides matter. I don't just care about what I personally prefer. I care about the broad, diverse spectrum of opinions that are out there for any given subject, whether it be how to organize your games or whether or not Sonic the Hedgehog is a good game. And so the idea is to try to break down all of these various opinions and try to understand them and explain them in such a way so that you, no matter what your opinion is, because there's a lot of you different people watching these videos, can be like, okay, so I think I'm kind of more on this side of the spectrum. And because I've explained The whole spectrum, you can understand where you are, and it will make sense for you because you matter to me. Each one of you. Plus, I usually just say what my personal preference is anyways, on top of all of that. But that does it for this video. Would love to hear your thoughts as always, and I will see ya in the next video.
He's the retro bird, yeah, and he's talking about video games. He's the retro